We're back here on Extra Rounds as we get ready for the UFC Fight Pass Invitational number 5. It is coming up December 10th. That is Sunday, 8 p.m. in the East, 5 in the West. And you're going to see a man on the card that was originally scheduled to face Gordon Ryan. He now takes on Haisam Rida. It is no stranger to UFC Fight Pass, a guy who has done a lot of big things on the platform. Mason Fowler, you're back. Mason, how are you?
Feeling good. I just got out of practice, so got those endorphins going, the jiu-jitsu endorphins. So, yeah, I feel great. A lot of stressful weekend trying to figure out what was going to happen with the card, but I'm glad that everything is set in stone now, and at least we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've called a lot of combat sports, and what is apparent to me is the elite grapplers or fighters in mixed martial arts, the elite combat sport athletes are the ones that deal with adversity and then can adjust on the fly. And you've had to make some adjustments before even getting into your match. What has it been like, hearing that Gordon was not going to be able to make the show? And, were there ever doubts whether or not they were going to find you an opponent or if you were going to be able to compete at all?
Yeah, you would think that competing against the greatest grappler of all time is stressful, but it's more stressful not knowing what's going to happen because you're like, man, should I train today? Should I not train? Like, is my camp over? Should I go to the beach and hang out today? What are we doing? So, yeah, it is what it is. We see it all the time in the UFC. And, obviously those guys have even a lot higher stakes. We saw it just with Volkanovski stepping in last minute against Islam Makhachev when Oliveira got injured. So, it's part of the game. You just have to roll with it and figure it out. And here we are.
Let's talk about the opponent that you have in front of you, Haisam Rida. He's a guy that is, very accomplished in his own right. We've seen him do well on UFC Fight Pass in the past. When you got that name, was that a name that excited you?
Yeah, of course. We were in the same bracket a couple of times, and we never ended up meeting. So, he's another guy that's like a top 10 heavyweight. We've been in the same brackets before, but we've never faced each other. So he's one of those guys that, we've always been at the same events. We always probably both knew that we were going to end up competing against each other at some point. And so, yeah, I thought it made sense.
How much do you sort of like fantasy matchmake in your head, against potential matchups, whether or not you're in a tournament or just, in between fights? Like, have you thought about this fight and what it would look like prior to it actually being made?
Yeah, he's definitely super athletic. He's tall and long, and that can be a really annoying style to play with, especially if you're trying to pass their guard, freaking long legs swinging around. So yeah, I've definitely ran it through in my head a couple times, and I think it's going to be an exciting match. We're both like super explosive and athletic, and we're both big dudes, so I think it's going to be a fun match for sure.
Yeah, definitely one to keep your eye on. Again, the UFC Fight Pass Invitational is headed your way December 10th. Mason Fowler is on the card. He takes on Haisam Rida, and Mason kind enough to give myself, TJ DeSantis, and Brandon McCatherine a few moments here on Extra Rounds on UFC Fight Pass.
Mason,
No, guys, thank you
everybody
guys.
knows that you're like a grappler's grappler. All the grapplers that know what's going on, all the fans that watch jiu-jitsu, they love watching you. You had that crazy run under the EBI rules at Submission Underground back in the day where you just won, I don't know, you won like 150 matches in a row. You beat Craig Jones twice, you beat Kyle Chambers, like just a huge list of guys that you just ran through over there. And then, of course, you won the EBI rules tournament with UFC Fight Pass. This match is under a different rule set. Does that change how you're going to approach everything?
Yeah, I do. I like the EBI rules to a certain extent, but the one problem with the EBI rules that a lot of people don't like is that you can see someone that is a lot better at traditional jiu-jitsu lose to someone that's maybe not as good in jiu-jitsu, but is just better in the EBI over time. So although I have had a lot of success in that rule set, I don't necessarily only want to compete in that rule set because I do find that people use that as a way they use it as a negative thing. Like, oh, he's like not really good in jiu-jitsu. He's just good at the overtime. That's one of the main reasons that I like to compete in a lot of different rule sets. I love the ADCC rule set, which our rule set is going to be kind of similar to that. I love the IBJJF rule set. I love doing gi, no gi. So yeah, I'm actually glad that the UFC is starting to go in a little bit of a different direction and they're incorporating points. I personally prefer points. Like that would be my optimal rule set because I have good wrestling. I have a good ability to pass the guard and sweep people and score points. So I love that they're going to incorporate points. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully everything runs smoothly. And then, the UFC has been, I kind of see what they're doing. They're trying out kind of a bunch of different rule sets. Almost every event has had a different set of rules. And the UFC is still new into this. It's only like the fifth or sixth show that they've done. So I think right now they're kind of trying out a bunch of different rule sets. They're getting reception from the fans and the athletes. And then I feel like they're either gonna stick to one rule set or they might kind of just make their own that they think is the best. So yeah, I'm excited to try out these rules and see how the show goes.
Any insight that you have for us on what your strategy is going to look like? Or are you kind of keeping it close to the vest?
I don't want to give too much away, obviously. But yeah, there's some things. There's definitely some opportunities when you're looking at Haisam and his past performances. There's a couple opportunities there. Definitely going to go for a submission. Ideally, get a submission in the regulation. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
You're a guy that, I mean, I've seen you play rubber guard a ton. I even see you play rubber guard in the gi. I think you got a submission off of your rubber guard at the last time that we saw you on Fight Pass Invitational. If you end up on your back, are we going to see some more rubber guard? I'm a 10th Planet guy. I get excited when I see rubber guard, dude.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not a 10th Planet guy, but I am a 10th Planet guy,
Yeah, I know.
Eddie are cool. I'm kind of like a cousin of the 10th Planet people. So yeah, I love the rubber guard. You know what's crazy? This is gonna sound like a crazy statement, but I actually play way more rubber guard in the gi than no gi because in no-gi, it's so easy for guys to just slip out and just escape the position. When you have the gi and you have the grips mixed with the rubber guard, it makes the position so much stronger. So I do love the rubber guard, but it is, man, in no-gi in today's day and age with these athletic guys that are so explosive and they're slipping out of stuff, it is hard to get that like good solid control. I mean, man, that's why we saw Eddie always wearing the gi pants,
Yeah,
so flip out as much. Um, but man, with the heel hooks and stuff, I'm definitely not going to be wearing any gi pants out there. But yeah, if the opportunity's there, man, I love going to rubber guard for sure, but it's not something I'm going to depend on. It's not like I have to get rubber guard or else I'm screwed,
And it's going to be hard to play it again. Like you mentioned, a guy as anybody in no gi, it's kind of tough when they're a big, strong athlete. But then Haisam is like one of the biggest, most explosive athletes, even in his own division, so definitely could be a kind of risky play if you start getting in there.
Yeah, and you see Haisam, I feel like he likes to pass more on the outside, so probably be difficult just to make that initial connection to get him in tight. And then I could definitely see getting him in tight and he just explodes his way out. So yeah, it could happen, but I'm not gonna just put all my eggs in that basket. I got to be ready for.
Like I said at the beginning, you got to make adjustments, and you've already made plenty. As we thought we were going to see you face Gordon Ryan, but Mason, I think I speak for everyone, whether it be on the Fight Pass side of things or the fans watching at home. Having you on this card still definitely means something because you add a lot of star power to this event, and we're excited to see you shine under the spotlights again. And wish you the best of luck against Haisam Rida.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to be a part of this show. I've been on. Even Submission Underground was on UFC Fight Pass, so I feel like I was the UFC Fight Pass male athlete of the year 2 years, and that's among all the MMA fighters and all these like badass dudes. So I got a lot of love in my heart for UFC Fight Pass. And every time, I'm sitting at home watching there was one time, it was when Craig was competing against Felipe Pena, and I was out of the country, so I wasn't able to compete. And I was watching the event. It was a great event, but I was a little like, oh man, I wish I was on there. I'm the UFC Fight Pass guy, so I'm glad that I'm still on the card as well.
Hey, December 10th is still in this year, so the Fight Pass year-end awards are coming up. You never know. Never say never, Mason.
I got to get a big win, and then maybe I'll get my third one.
All right. We'll be talking to you soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys so much.